Well, joining us now is Mr. Sundaram, the lead counsel for Mr. Cyrus Mistry. Mr. Sundaram, thanks for speaking to us. Your first, reaction to this big order today, it's quite a big one.
Yes, I think it is, and I think it is a vindication of the rights of the minority shareholders who approached the NCLT, because what was really desired and what was the thrust of the case from the beginning was to ensure that there was very strict corporate governance and also to ensure that there was transparency in the management. It was also felt that the majority shareholders of the company, which were the Tata Trusts, were actually dictating what was being done in the company. And rather than being a board-managed company, it was a company which was actually being dictated by these trust shareholders. And keeping in mind that the Tata Sons itself controls so many public limited Tata companies where there are lakhs and lakhs of public shareholders and public money, Mr. Mistry had felt that it was imperative to bring in strict corporate governance, to ensure there were no lacunae, to investigate into matters which apparently did not seem right, and that the decision-making process should be more transparent and for the welfare of all stakeholders, whether majority or minority shareholders and members of the public. This was really the thrust of the case. Unfortunately, this aim of Mr. Mistry resulted in his being ousted from the chairmanship of the company, because he was insisting on corporate governance, and even the articles were not followed. The procedures in the articles for his removal were not followed. It was quickly followed by removing him from directorship of all the Tata companies, again because of his insistence that such corporate governance and transparent management should be brought in.
Do you think, Mr. Sundaram,
and I think all this necessitated going to the NCLT.
The thing is, therefore, what's very clear from what you're saying is that this order has repercussions not just for the Tata Group, which is, of course, in itself a big story, but for corporate governance in India. Would you say that this order today has repercussions for everyone?
Yes, absolutely.
And in fact,
absolutely. You see, one thing which is very clear is by the latest amendment to the Companies Act, there has been a very strong impetus towards looking after the interest of all minorities and all shareholders, and also towards ensuring a very strict corporate governance of companies. That is the thrust of the new Companies Act. And strangely, when this case was pending, it was decided by the Tata Sons, again through the majority shareholders, to convert Tata Sons, which was a public company, into a private company. The effect of which is that the whole corporate governance rigors would be reduced. The necessity for independent directors would be reduced. And therefore, it would have been, according to the minority group, it would be retrograde and against the interest of all minority shareholders.
In fact, that has been reversed today. The whole step to make a public company into a private one. So that
absolutely
too has very big repercussions, doesn't it? So where do you see this going from here, Mr. Sundaram? Because there is now a window for Ratan Tata to approach the Supreme Court, and there is this. So this order doesn't actually come into force for the next 4 weeks. So are we now going to see this battle being fought out in the Supreme Court? I guess that's the logical next step.
Well, let's accept one thing. The Appellate Forum is the Supreme Court, and anyone who is aggrieved by the order would naturally want to go to the Supreme Court. But so far as you're saying that the judgment does not take effect, I don't think you're correct, Nidhi, because what has been stayed is only the reinstatement of Mr. Mistry as executive chairman for the next 4 weeks. Otherwise, the judgment as it stands continues.
Okay, so that's an important clarification. So it's only that particular bit that stays for 4 weeks, but it continues. So clearly the action will shift to the Supreme Court. A big day as far as this story is concerned. Arima Sundaram, thank you very much for joining us on NDTV this evening with your first reactions. Thank you.
Thank you.